Hi everyone, welcome. My guest is a Dutch luxury designer who created a fusion of Indian artistry and Western styles. Her culturally conscious collections are designed with sustainable materials and ethical production processes. You can view her new collection titled Unapologetic on Instagram at Monique Singh Official. Everyone, please welcome Monique Singh. So how
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on today. I know the whole thing has been kind of crazy and like the situation we're living in has made it difficult for everyone. So I really appreciate you being able to talk to me today.
My pleasure.
So let's just jump straight in. So I know you've managed many luxury brands before as a marketing design manager. I saw on your info page. So what motivated you to create your brand?
Yeah, I think it was indeed. I have worked for quite some years indeed in the luxury industry. And I've also worked at really one of the icons, Gucci, and had the pleasure and really a blessing to see everything really from close up, like to see how a creative director is like really amazing in everything that he's doing. And like me personally always had really a passion for clothing and how it allows you to express yourself in ways that sometimes words don't always are able to. And I think like last year or so, it was really a moment where I felt that my own business experience and passion reached a point where I felt it was the moment that I could step out and really launch my own brand.
So when you worked for all those other brands, were you more on the design side or the business side?
Well, a little bit of both. I have done like overall business and marketing, but I've also done design. So I had a bit of a peek in both of these facets, which I think for me were really helpful because it allows me today also to sort of like have a sense check on things, because sometimes when you're in your creative mode, it's very easy to sort of like completely forget the whole world and like completely get swallowed up in all your creative brain juices that are flowing around. But having also business experience really allowed me to create some sort of structure in the chaos, like make a business plan and really sort of like make my vision more tangible and formatted in a way that is really clear.
Right, that's good. So I feel like a lot of people that I go to school with that are majoring in design, they often find it hard to sort of know what to continue, like to make a business plan to get investors, like what's the next step for them aside from just creating like the brand itself. So I think it's really good. Yeah, it's a really good idea for people to also have some experience on the business side. So I
Yeah.
that your clothing is heavily influenced by like your Indian heritage. Like, how have you remained so connected with that identity?
I think for me, it's been a very logical way in a sense, because my upbringing was really a fusion of me being born here in the Netherlands, but at home we really still had the culture from India, and like food wise, music wise, like all the festivals, it was still very much a part of our lives. So for me, it was always almost a bit as if I had two identities, like the one at home and the one at school and work.
Right.
And sometimes I struggled a bit with like being like the full real me, because I always felt I had to choose a little bit on which side of me I was going to be. And with the years, I really felt that I really became in my like strength and in my power, and just to be me. So that is also really the notion that I want to share with my brand, that, the celebration of diversity and individualism at the same time.
Wow, that's really cool. Like also I like studying like textiles and fabrics. I feel like India is always very sort of known for like their artistry, like their embroidery and all their like textile work. Do you think that also sort of affected your brand and like the sort of textiles you use and like the aesthetic of it?
Definitely. I think it's really reflected in the pieces that I create. So there is indeed hand embroidery incorporated in quite a few of my pieces, but also a lot of the opulent colors
Right.
and the textures and very intricate designs, which are very much a part of the Indian side of things. So yes, that has definitely been a part of my brand today.
Right. Like also they're very sort of in a way dramatic, like for like more traditional like Indian dress is very dramatic and very beautiful. Do you think that's sort of what like affected you deciding going towards the luxury side, or was it also, or did like the sustainable aspect also play into like you choosing to go into luxury?
Yeah, for me, I chose to go to luxury because for me, it's really important to offer like high quality pieces that are very timeless. So for me, I really chose for the direction that everything was handmade in an atelier here in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, because I really find it super important that like the whole production chain is something that I can really control. So I wanted it really to be locally sourced, and yeah, from a benchmark point of view, I really felt that the luxury world made a lot of sense for me. Also, if you want to incorporate hand embroidery and all these quality things, it's sort of like fitted together that we went about it this way. But in terms of like the dramatic things, I believe my clothing is really a bit of a fusion of that opulence and the craftsmanship that India has to offer, but somehow fuse it a bit with like the Western silhouettes also a bit. So it's a little bit more ready to wear, but still you can see that connotation of the fusion of these two.
Right, definitely. So aside from your website on moniquesingh.com in NYC before the pandemic, we visited Wolf and Badger in Soho. And we know
Oh,
that,
cool.
yeah, we visited because we wanted to see like what they had, and also because I think we found out about it because of you. We were contacted by your team, and then we decided to
Yeah,
we wanted to see like,
exactly.
what else was
Awesome.
about. So yeah, we visited and we saw that they sort of award badges to like different designers, and we saw that you had the happy worker, happy world, and artisan badge. So like I
Yeah.
think that's really cool that like you had, I think, like more than most designers. So like I know that sustainability and ethics are like a main focus of your brand, and they're not often prioritized by other brands. So like
Yeah.
where did those commitments come from? Like where did your passion for sustainability and ethics start?
I think it also really came with my upbringing. Like my parents always told my sister and myself that it's really important to treasure nature and to basically be grateful for what we have today. And also that if it's in your power to do anything to facilitate or improve a better world for the next generation, that it's like it's almost your duty to also grasp those chances because not everybody unfortunately has them in the world. So yeah, really from the start when I started creating the collection, it was really quite some profound things that I made my choices on, like the textures are sorry, the fabrics are all ISO certified, and the whole production chain was really set up in a way that I could control it, which obviously is an investment that you also need to be ready to make, because it's of course for a lot of people cheaper to do it far away, but for me it was really something that I want to communicate, that you can do it differently.
Right. No, that's really interesting that you chose that. But it's, I think at the same time, it's something that people have to choose to do more. Like, yes, it might be more expensive, but at the end of the day, you have, it's more conscious, it's better for everyone. And also it kind of gives you that how like that benefit of being able to say that you monitor your brand, you know what your brand is about, and you know that you're not really hurting anyone in the process. So I think that's really impressive. What yeah.
No, I just wanted to say that that is indeed a good point. That, when you make an investment for something that is timeless and you know that it's produced in a way that it's not harming anyone, it's a very like consciously a good purchase to make. So indeed, that was something how I positioned the brand indeed.
Definitely. But like, what
Definitely.
aspect do you think has the greatest influence in like the sustainable production process, like the sourcing or the manufacturing, or is it equal?
Yeah, I think that is a very difficult question to answer because it really depends on, like, in terms of sourcing, like, were the conditions for the workers right? Was nature harmed when we were like sourcing the actual fabric? And then the production wise, it's also very much like how much waste is created, how much CO2 are we using when we're transporting it from A to B. So I think it's a bit of an assessment that every brand has to make for themselves on which one of the two is having the bigger impact. But I think more profoundly, it's a conscious choice you need to make on both of the two items.
Right.
What do you feel about this question? It's a very good question.
I feel like a lot of brands sort of only focus on the manufacturing aspect of it. Like you see, like if you go on many people's websites and they have pictures of like, take a look at our factory, you know, and it shows they have happy workers. They show like they show like that their factories are equipped to be more sustainable and like ethical, but I think they don't really provide as much as information on where they source their fabrics from. Because it's like your factory might be very well equipped, but what if like the place where your textiles were like produced isn't up to par as your, you know, actual factory? So I think it's something that for other brands, we should definitely look into to make sure that they're being like truthful with what they're preaching. But yes,
I think that might be one of the biggest sort of like hidden secrets in the fashion industry in general, because it's for all these huge corporations, it's very difficult to really trace down the full supply chain from A to Z, because indeed you can have like certain like selected factories and then you zoom in on that particular factory, but then all the sub-suppliers of your production chain, it's a very large and difficult puzzle. I feel for these large corporations to really have a full grasp on. But therefore, I think it's super important to take that responsibility and start initiating that change.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's something, especially bigger brands. It might be harder for them to like control it, but if they're preaching it, then I think they have to commit to it. You know. Definitely,
yeah, I agree.
So like going back to like your Indian heritage and like the great influence that like it has on your brand, like I know a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but I don't know, I feel like in the United States we have these conversations quite often. But how do you feel about like other Western designers using India as an inspiration?
I think it really depends on what the execution is. Like sometimes, you know, it's beautiful when countries and cultures inspire brands or people in their creations, and if they respectfully treat a culture and like really spend some time in deep diving into what it's really about, then I think it's a beautiful thing. But sometimes you can also really see that it really stays at the surface and they don't really check if certain executions or designs could be sensitive to people. So I think there's really that balance of if you have really made an effort to be the best in how you can execute it, then I think it's amazing.
Right. There's a visible line between appropriation and appreciation, and it really falls on how much respect and research they put into creating.
Yeah, definitely. I think Chanel did like a spring summer in 2012. And I remember when I saw it, I really thought it was beautiful. You could really see that they spent a lot of attention on like the silhouettes and the fabrics. And they also selected a lot of Indian models for the runway. And it was really a celebration of the Indian culture, which I thought was really nice. But there are also lots of examples where you feel like, oh my gosh, that's just
You're
off.
Like, you miss that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it really quite depends.
No, definitely. So, like, as someone who's worked on both sides, what do you think, what is something that you believe is not talked about enough or ignored in the industry besides sustainability?
I think now there is definitely a massive revolution going on, as you know as well, being in the States right now. But I do think that when I was younger, that like for me, I never saw any role models that looked like me in the fashion industry. Like in terms of like the diversity of people and cultures and just any personality that now I feel that there is really a revolution going on of just be you and celebrate everything that you have. But that's definitely still something I feel that we're in the beginning phase of. Like I also like consciously choose models that have a heritage that you don't see often in the media, because when I was younger, it's sad if you're a little kid and you can't see anyone as a role model that looks like you know, like it's just a sad thing. So I really wanted to make my own personal contribution in that matter.
Right. I think, and it's really apparent, like if you go on your Instagram, you see like if you go on a lot of people, like a lot of other brands' Instagrams, is like the joke where like, it's like all like, you know, Caucasian models up until like a few weeks ago when like the whole Black Lives Matter really picked up speed, and then like they just started posting like models of color. But if you go on your Instagram, like since the beginning, you can see your models are very diverse. So I think it really is something that you feel very strongly about.
Yes, exactly. I also really want to celebrate just like iconic women in general, like also the stories that they have and the achievements that they've done, whether it's big or small, if it's a positive impact that you can make on somebody else. I just want to celebrate that. So we often also pick like strong females and have a little shout out towards them.
Right. I see that that's also sort of one of your brand's values. Like, do you think that like sort making clothing that was like sort of workplace or like professional appearance, but also making it more like individualistic, do you think that was sort of a thing that was not present too?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like I think there is definitely still room for another notion on this matter. Like for me, I really see or I hope that when women wear one of my pieces, that they have this reminder that this is their power suit and that they really feel authorized to create the universe that they are dreaming of, so that it's really sort of like enhancing your own presence and attitude, and that there are really no rules that apply to that particular like either beauty or what it's supposed to be. Like you are just good enough as you are. So yeah, I do think that there's not enough of that yet.
Right. That's good. But what is something that you wished you knew before creating your brand? Like,
yeah, I think it is that notion that you should really trust your gut feel. Like once you start working in the industry, you meet so many people that are trying to influence you or sort of like make your brand in a way that kind of like fits maybe their own perspective. But it's really important to, when you feel it's not really going how you want it to be, like listen to it. I mean, it's really important to stay close to yourself.
right. I feel like I don't know how the sort of the relationships there is in Europe, but I know that at least here in the US, it's sort of intimidating to be a person of color to work in the fashion industry, since especially on the business side, since it seems that it's not really a career that a lot of people choose to go into. So like, do you think that's affected you in any way, or do you think it's sort of boldened you more to continue what you were doing?
Yeah, I think definitely the latter. Like I've always believed that nothing is impossible if you put your mind to it. And yeah, if it didn't happen before, it doesn't mean that I cannot make it happen. I was also quite blessed that I don't know if you know the brand Manish Arora. It's like a very well-known Indian brand, but also made a global presence, and they have been on the Paris Fashion Week for 10 years now in a row. And the founder of the brand was also my mentor. And he said that it's so beautiful to see that that an Indian name now can really have a place in the fashion industry, because for them it was really difficult to pave the way and sort of like be taken seriously. And he found it really beautiful that, you know, it's now a new dawn, it's a new era where we can really also be present,
creating their own brand and thinking about it.
I definitely think that if you're truly passionate about it, really dare to take that first step. Like it's really important to really move and keep moving and take a little step. And I'm sure there are bumps along the way, but really just keep moving, because sometimes people can like ponder a lot about things and then you're kind of like stuck and you never move anywhere. But as soon as you take a conscious choice, then, you know, the universe will make things happen for you. And I also feel it's very important to have perseverance, because there will be difficult times. So you need to just, you know, you might fall, but get up and try again and do better, because that's in the end what it's all about. And also be clear what your brand is about, and that it has a unique place in quite a saturated market, of course. So really spend some time in figuring out what it is that you have to say and to offer. And let me see, gather the right people around you and enjoy the ride. Like really enjoy and be present also to enjoy the small and the big things, because sometimes me personally, I can be so obsessed about achieving a next milestone that I forget to enjoy what's right in front of me.
Right, definitely. Thank you, Monique. So just as a reminder, if you live in NYC, you can find her work at Wolf and Badger, as well as her website, MoniqueSingh.com, and you can find her Instagram at Monique Singh Official. Thank you so much for being on, Monique. We really appreciate it. And your work is amazing, as always. We would like to see like further down the line what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Would love to come back in some time.
Thank you so much. Maybe once when you visit, we can meet up and we can sort of have another talk about your work. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's do that. Bye-bye.